Hi, and welcome to this short course on Storyboard Elements brought to you by the eLearning Network. My name is Magic, and you can reach me at magic@elearning.net if you have any questions about this presentation. Before we go into the eLearning course on storyboarding, just a quick note about the eLearning Network. We're headquartered in Seattle. It's a full-service custom e-learning development company as well as a free membership-driven organization. Membership is free, and our members receive things like free job aids, free e-learning templates, for Storyline, Captivate, Lectora, and other tools. We offer stock art, training, and more. So we help fund and support our initiative at the eLearning Network through the kinds of services and products that we offer online, so feel free to take a look at that. We also offer one-on-one training and consulting, custom branded templates, and lots of other things. So no project is too big or too small. If you ever need help, give us a shout. So let's jump into the storyboard elements. The key purpose of a storyboard is to give you all of the raw materials you need in order to produce a high quality custom e-learning course quickly and efficiently. So anytime you're using a storyboard, the purpose of that is to communicate between multiple people who may be working on a project what's going to go in that course. Also, even if you're a one-man band, but you report to a client, you probably want to have your client understand and review and sign off on what you propose to build before you build it. Doing so is a great way to make sure that everybody's literally on the same page with what's going to go into this course before much time is invested in the graphics and the audio production, all of the media side of the equation. So again, if you're doing rapid e-learning and rapid prototyping and just creating courses on the fly and then having the client review and approve, you may not need a storyboard. But if you're developing complex, high quality, custom e-learning that involves multiple people like graphic artists and voice talents and instructional designers and approvers and all the rest of it, a storyboard is a great way to keep everybody on track. So with that, without any further ado, let's kind of dive into what goes into a storyboard. So first, here on the screenshot that we're seeing, you'll notice that we have the audio file narration. And you'll also notice that we've constructed our storyboard here in a table that has columns and rows. And each of these columns and rows is set up with a very specific purpose in mind. So we're going to talk about each of those now. So the audio file narration here, a couple of things you're going to want to note. Put all your audio narration into one column and understand that the average speaking rate is about 150 words per minute. So you want to make sure that you have no more than 225 to 300 words in a single screen. So if you have, let's say you have a 30-minute course and you're probably going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 screens, which are averaging somewhere about a minute to a minute and a half per screen before the user is required to click next or before you change something visually on the screen. So if you're ever not sure how long your course is going to run, if you're using a storyboard to create your narration, it's an easy and convenient way to do a word count to see how many words are in your narration before you start building out your media. That'll help you understand whether or not your course is in scope or not. So for example, if you've already created if your course is going to be maybe 30 minutes and you realize that you have, after you do your word count, 50 minutes worth of audio, you may need to work with your approver to either, or your client, to either reduce the total words or expand the scope of work and give you more time and budget to pull off the course. Because the bigger it is, obviously, it can get out of scope if it's more than what you expected. So to aid in timing of the graphics and animations, we also consider adding in each row every time there's a significant visual change that's going to occur. So when you notice that here we have these multiple rows that come across, we have one screen, so this would be screen number 1, and it's broken into multiple 4 or at least rows here. So if this was an actual e-learning course here, storyboard, we would say every time that the narrator speaking and we're going to change the picture or change in a bullet text or something, put that information in the relevant columns over here so that it matches up exactly to where the timing in the narration will be. So we definitely encourage you breaking out your storyboard into rows like this. One of the things you'll notice is if let's say this row was really thick. This was one big row here with tons of text and not very much visual instruction going on over here. What that's going to tell you just by looking at the storyboard is that you are not going to have much visually happening while there's a lot of narration rolling along. Also, we recommend maybe use an asterisk or some other notation to denote exactly when a visual is supposed to come in. So for example, let's say you had a long paragraph in here and you wanted to have 3 bullets listed over here in the page media section. If you had an asterisk every time you're supposed to change in a new bullet, you could do it that way as well. Just anything that can help your e-learning developer know how they're going to sync this audio to the narration. And finally, when it comes to audio narration, if you see asterisk signs too close together, then you're going to notice that your images might be competing for each other. So for example, let's say you say, insert an asterisk and you have an asterisk here and you're going to have a bullet point come in at this point. If you have another asterisk right here, you're going to be rushing in bullets right after each other. So to avoid that, what you can do is just think to yourself, how can I reword this sentence so that I give myself more time between visual changes to allow a nice natural flow of visuals and audio rolling along at a nice pace. So using asterisks helps tell other people where you want things to be timed, and also at a glance you can kind of envision how many things are changing and how quickly they're changing, just without even reading the content. You could just sort of get an idea of how it's going to be by looking at where those asterisks are. So that's the audio file narration column. The page and media text here. What we want to put in this column is the exact format of any on-screen text that's going to go with the narration. So you want to have your headers, your bullet lists, any quotes, any information that's going to be on the screen visually in text. You want to have it exactly and literally in this column how you want it to appear. The reason for this is if you have a subject matter expert or other people reviewing and approving your storyboards, you can build it out the way they said, and then when you go for sign off, they can check, yes, you did it exactly the way that I wanted it. Or if there's you're doing an internal QC, you can use this as a quality control checklist to make sure that everything has the right punctuation and the right capitalization and all of that. Sometimes we have had clients that are very specific in how they want their bullet lists to be presented. They might want an initial cap and no punctuation at the end. Or if you're completing a sentence, they might, in a bullet list, they might want to have all lowercase and then a period or some other kind of punctuation used. And they want that done consistently. So by using a storyboard, you can map all that out and have your QC people review that before you put it into your e-learning course. This is especially important if you're creating all text items and photographic imagery inside of Photoshop and bringing them in as images that are not as easy to edit on the fly as opposed to using something like the text tools inside of Storyline or Captivate or whatnot. So the purpose of the storyboard is to limit the amount of changes that you're going to have to do on the back end to make your life easier. So definitely have a column that matches your audio narration here that's going to have any text that's going to accompany that narration. And also just make sure that you spell check it and grammar check it and get it approved by the subject matter expert. So this column again is dedicated for any information that's going to be on the screen as text. The next column we have over here, visual instructions and developer notes. This is where you can tell your graphic artists what kinds of graphics or charts or timing notes or other kinds of information that you think might be useful for them in the creative process. If you're going to have activities, you can also provide notes to the programmer of how you want the activity to function or any special notes. Also, you can consider putting in a thumbnail of a screenshot in this section. Even if you're not a graphic artist yourself, you can draw boxes and circles and stick figures and things that sort of tell the graphic artists what you're looking for, and then they will use that as a jumping off point to create their graphics. So use this column, visual instructions column, to tell your artists and others what kinds of graphics are going to accompany the audio. So the next column over here, the media files. Oftentimes e-learning courses include things like graphics and audio. And if you have a voice talent that's going to record your audio for you, and you're going to, let's say you bring in external audio into the course, you want to have those audio files named a specific way to make it easier for you to put it back into your course. So for example, let's say you send out your script to have it recorded, your voice talent reads 30 different lines, and when it all comes back in, if they haven't used some standard way to name the files, you may find that it's difficult to match up exactly where the audio goes in your course. But if you tell your voice talent that you very specifically want audio files named a very specific way to match your course slides as you have them designed, and if they follow that, your blueprint, then it'll all piece together nicely. So if you don't ask somebody to do something, they're not going to do it. Or in other words, is people don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. So if you tell a voice talent, I expect you to name them this way, then when they do name it that way and you inspect their work, you can see that it's just going to plug in where it needs to go. And same goes with image files. If you have a client that's going to be sending you images that you want to have that they want to have in the course, then it's best if you tell them to name them something like slide 02a.jpg and slide 02.b.jpg. So that way you can see when they come in exactly where these go into your presentation. Otherwise, let's say you get 100 images and they're all named every which way. It's going to cause you extra time and effort to try to understand and piece those all together where they go into your course. And then also when it comes time to sign off, the client can look and see, yes, I told you to put slide 02A here at this time, and they can use your storyboard to verify you did exactly what they asked. And the reason that's so important is because to avoid scope creep and change requests, and to be able to define what's the difference between a change, something that may require additional cost and scope creep, versus an edit, which is a fix to something you may have done incorrectly. Those are two very different things. Either way, the course needs to be updated because the client is saying, I want this to be implemented. But whether it's a change request versus an edit request oftentimes is very important in terms of time and budget. So without a storyboard, it's very difficult to determine what's the difference between a change and an edit. So again, the more specific you can be with your clients and with anybody on the team as to what images are going to be named and where they're going to go and how everything pieces together, the better off you'll be. So that's what the purpose of the storyboard is. This final column over here off to the far left, this is where you can put the screen title as it should appear in the table of contents. You can also put the type of screen. Is it a quiz? Is it a lecture? Is it an activity? And any other notes that will help you understand where in this course this information goes. A couple other elements in here. If you have multiple topics in a course, you might want to have a topic title. So you can say instead of topic 1, you can put the name of your topic here. And also list any learning objectives. So if you have done and created an instructional design document, you may have specific learning objectives that this content is going to cover. So by creating a list of learning objectives in your storyboard, you can verify quickly and easily that you've covered all of your learning objectives. Alright, those are the key elements in the storyboard presentation. Again, they're audio file narration, your on-screen text that will come in and synchronize with the audio, any visual graphic design notes that you might want, specific file naming conventions that you're going to be using in your course to package everything together, and finally the exact screen titles, screen numbers, and any other details that tell you where this information is going to fall in your course. Next, let's take a look at the storyboard elements that are created for quizzes. If you're going to create a quiz, oftentimes you'll have different quiz types like multiple choice, multiple correct, true, false, and so on. The basics you're going to want to include in a storyboard are your question text, the choices, the correct and incorrect choices, or what we call the correct answer, and the distractors, and also any correct or incorrect feedback that will be presented to the user based on their answer choice. You can create these quizzes directly inside of your favorite authoring tool like Captivate or Camtasia, or Articulate Storyline and other tools. However, if you create your questions and choices and feedback inside of Word, it's easier to spell check it and to pass it around the subject matter experts or multiple people on the team for their feedback before you actually program these quizzes. So we highly recommend that you use some kind of a way like this to document things like the text, the choices, and the feedback. You might also want to give it a weight, whether or not it's some technologies allow you to say that one question is more difficult than another. You might also want to put some notes in here as to whether if it's multiple choice and you have an all of the above answer, you want to make sure that you put a note in here to not randomize the answer choices because all of the above may shift around on you. So any details that you can think of that you want to track in your storyboard are good things to think of, because if it can be missed, it probably will be missed. So just use your storyboard to track as many of the different kinds of elements, quiz elements, that you can, that will help you save time on the back end. So that's pretty much completes a short course. This is just a very quick 15-minute overview of how to create a storyboard and the kind of elements that go in it. We actually offer a full hour-long course on this subject that you can register for on eLearning.net. Also, if you need any help with storyboard writing or instructional design or anything like that, we offer full service eLearning, instructional design, graphic design, storyboarding, e-learning programming, the whole shoot and match. So if you need any assistance whatsoever, feel free to contact the eLearning network at eLearning.net and we'll be glad to help you. Thanks for your time. I hope you found this useful. One other note is you can download this storyboard from our website, eLearning.net. We actually have this storyboard template online available for you to download. Just log into the network, download it through the shopping cart. It's free of charge, and we welcome you to use it as much as you like. Thanks again and have a great day.